it was such a unique, shocking thing for everybody that, like, and you know, it almost reminds me of like addiction. Like, anybody who cares about you is just going to become your enabler, you know? So I think, like, I had a lot of enablers around in terms of, you know, letting me kind of wallow in my depression. And then, you know, self-medication was an issue. And it really took, like, meeting somebody to kind of wake me up and make me realize that I could feel things, you know? And then the healing process began. My fiance, I met him and felt things, and it was really kind of novel for me. Because I don't know, I was just really medicated for a really long time, and both the deaths were really shocking. So, like, the combination of, like, medication and shock, and, you know, going through high school and all the ways that you can self-medicate in high school, and I was just really numb, and I don't think I accepted it for a really long time. My dad, we were in a sailing accident. That was when I was 11, and then my mom died when I was 15. Yeah, we were in a really there's that crazy storm that just rolled around this summer, and I forget what they're called. It's like this freak thunderstorm that's just extraordinarily strong. The last one was actually in 1998, on the day that we were sailing in the Hudson Harbor. And it came out of nowhere, and, you know, we capsized, and he actually went missing for 5 days. And they found his body on September 11th, amazingly enough. And yeah, so it was kind of just a shocking, it was just really surreal, the whole thing, like the accident and the days after, and it's just, I don't know. Both my parents, one of my really close friends, and my dad's coworker. We were all on the boat. Oh, it was, well, I mean, it was just a full-blown storm out of nowhere. It was really crazy. All of a sudden there were these, like, you know, 10-foot swells in the harbor, and the sail was jammed, so water got in the sail and flipped us over. And my dad actually pulled me and my mom out from under the boat. My friend miraculously, like, popped out, and the coworker grabbed her, and we just kind of had to wait until a tugboat saw us. It was pulling a barge, and it just happened to see one of our life vests, and came and swooped us up. But by then we couldn't find him. Oh God, I mean, it's almost like trying to remember a dream. You know, it's just lots of people in the house, and just kind of not. It was just so new, and I didn't really have, like, I wasn't raised with religion, so I didn't really have any tools to, like, try to understand what was going on spiritually, and it was just, you know, we were surrounded by people, and it was pretty amazing. I always think it's so funny that, like, deaths can bring people together and be kind of wonderful, because you have all the people you love in one room, but... Right. It was, and, you know, like, hoping that we would find him and he would just be really sick or something, you know. Just a lot of hope. I had a therapist in the neighborhood who was very sweet. The kids were really good. I mean, they were really good about making me feel like I belonged there.
And so that's important.
Yeah, I think that was really the most normal I felt, was, you know, with my new friends. But I mean, everything changed, and it was such a strange time, because it was like switching schools. It was my first new school, so everything was kind of going to change anyway. Yeah, I was everything for her, but she had a lot of issues with depression too. So I think we became each other's biggest enablers, you know, like she would just call out for me, and we'd just play hooky on the couch and wallow all day, and, you know, shop a lot of retail therapy. But she really struggled. She didn't have an easy time after that.
Right.
I don't think anything was ever normal for me after my dad died. I mean, I guess we fell into kind of a routine, but I mean, you know, like I would miss months of school, and, you know, for her, it was always just trying to make me happy in like just one moment. So I think a lot kind of got sacrificed for that. Like, you know, I didn't really realize how important my education was, and it was just trying to feel good. But, yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, in 7th grade, I don't know. It's kind of hazy. I was still pretty close. I had a really tight group of friends from elementary school, and they were still around, you know, before everybody kind of split off.
From the neighborhood.
Yeah. You know, and then people started going to school in, like, Manhattan, and, you know, I think we got a little separated in high school, but they were still really, it was really, I think, my friends, because my mom was just a mess. You know, I was thinking about this, and I really don't know, because I was so shook up that I don't think, even if I could get good advice, I'm not sure I could have been able to process it and actually, you know, get it. Yeah, for me, I kind of, I've ended up finding faith, actually. Not through any particular religion, but kind of, you know, I started researching like the afterlife and everything, and that kind of gave me a lot of comfort. You know, I pretty much don't really believe in death anymore. So I would say maybe try to find some way to make sense of it. Like, my beliefs are, I guess, getting less unconventional now, but like, you know, I picked up a book by a psychic because I was curious, and it ended up being something pretty special for me. Or even if, you know, like, if, you know, church is really helpful for you, I feel like that can be something that's really good to think about and can provide a lot of comfort, just knowing that, you know, it's not the end. No, I was picking it up. I picked it up pretty quickly. I think I was lucky. I think I needed it. So, you know, I think the universe has ways of giving you what you need when you need it. And it was just, you know, like browsing through Barnes & Noble and like being curious and, you know, happening to pick up the right book for me. And
at the age of 12 or 13?
I think I was 12 or 13, maybe 13. It was pretty early. I mean, my mom was definitely still around, so I think it was pretty soon after that. Because, I mean, my mom was like a lapsed Catholic. My dad was an atheist. So, you know, I never had religion or any sort of spiritual understanding about death or heaven and hell or anything like that. So once I kind of figured that stuff out for myself, it was just worlds better, because it wasn't just like, not like just confusing, like, I don't know, and friends, you know, like genuine people who love you. And I mean, I'm also lucky because my friends from my youth, they're like my family, and we were just so close that it was like built-in support, you know. And I guess also keeping around people who knew whoever you've lost is really great, because they, you know, I used to feel so much pressure that I had to like remember everything. But now it's funny because like I'll have a friend who'll like bring up this story that I totally forgot about, and it's nice because then you have like this collective memory, and it's good. Friends are good.
That's great.
Just in her sleep. She just didn't wake up. And I don't even think there was ever a conclusive cause of death. I just went to wake her up one morning, and she had been gone for a while at that point. So that was weird. That threw me for a serious loop. I mean, obviously, but because at that point I think become so comfortable in like my reasoning for why things had happened that like I couldn't understand why this would happen too. I mean, who would? We had just gone on a retreat with school. So we got back, I think, Friday, and she and my uncle was visiting. They picked me up from school, and he went out to party, and we went to bed. And in the morning, I was making plans with my friend. We were going to go to the carousel, and I went to wake her up to tell her I was going, and she wasn't there. Yeah, just keep breathing.
Just keep breathing.
That's really all you can do. I mean, I don't know. It was just keep breathing. keep your body functioning, and that means that you're surviving. So, well, I was a dancer.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
You did?
But I always took dancing for granted when I did it. I don't think I realized how important it was until I stopped. But yeah, but I was never really that passionate about it. It was always just something I did. Now I miss it a lot. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have much to fall back on. I always had people. You know, we had a really big web of, you know, my parents were super popular and had lots of people, and I was lucky to have a lot of friends. And I had actually just recently, well, not that recently, for about a year, I had found a whole new group of really lovely people. So I was lucky that time I kind of had them to catch me. Yeah, but that was like just ripping a serious rug out, because you're like, you know, we've already been through everything. What else can you possibly go through? And then, you know,
When this happens again.
Kicks your other leg out. Well, I called 911. Then I called my friend who I was on the phone with, and she came over. And I called my uncle. Yeah, I called 911, and they stayed on the phone with me. I think they stayed on the phone with me until somebody got there. And then I called my friend Zoe, who I had been making plans with, and she just came right over. And then I called my uncle, who was just staying with us in town for a visit, and had him come back to the house. And then my friends up the block, like Zoe called my friends up the block, and her mom came over. And that's really all I remember about that particular day. Then I think my mom's friend made me like take a shower and got me out of the house. And, you know, my uncle kind of dealt with, I guess, the coroner or whoever shows up. Well, then comes, you know, the flood of like there just being probably 10 random people in your house for about a week, which is kind of a great time.
And then I think I remember your uncle moved in with you?
Yeah, my uncle moved in with me, and I asked my uncle who had been visiting to stay too. So they both were with me. And one of them was my guardian. I have a lot of uncles. So I had two uncles who were my guardians, but one of those lived with me. And then one of my dad's half-brother stayed with us too, because he had lived with us when my dad was around. Like, he lived with us when he was going through school and stuff, so he was kind of just like, he was like my older brother.
Right. So
I don't think I did grieve.
You're numb.
I was in shock. I don't think I mean, I feel I must have, but I think, I don't know, I just wanted some normalcy, you know? Like, I remember the months afterwards, like, at school and everything. I mean, my memory can't really be trusted about this stuff, but kind of went back to normal, you know, and like I had my friends, and I started dating somebody really, really quickly after she passed, and looking back, it seems pretty odd to me, but yeah, I mean, I never, you know, like, only recently did I have that experience when, like, you go to a funeral and you cry, you know, and like a normal person. I didn't really do that. So I think I have trouble understanding my grieving process, because I think it was very extended and kind of hindered is that the right word? And, you know, because I was also on like medication, which I think might have evened me out a little too well. And that's when I think I really started self-medicating. I had friends that I wanted to be with. I had this like guy that I liked. Like I wanted to have fun and be a teenager, and I almost was just like, no, you know, but I mean, it wasn't by any means healthy at all, you know, it wasn't. I mean, I guess it's a kind of strength, but I don't know. I have trouble I have trouble even remembering a lot of it, so I have trouble understanding what I was thinking or why I did what I did. It was just kind of like, you know, I couldn't go through the steps of, you know, developing a relationship with somebody when, like, I couldn't even process what was going on in my own life.
Right.
You know, and, like, I didn't even know, I mean, at that age, you don't want to be like the kid whose parent died.
Right.
So it's like, how do you even talk to people? How do you talk to your peers? Like, you can't.
Right.
At that, I mean, at 15, turning 16, like, you can't, you know, teenagers are dicks.
Yeah.
So it's harder, I think, you know, when my dad passed, we were all very, like, lovey-dovey, and we hadn't really hit those hormones yet. So it was easier to be supported and to really put yourself out there. But I think at that age, you're just guarded and, you know, trying to be cool and trying to figure out who you are and, you know, I don't know. So it was just such a different mindset anyway. I don't know. I was a really bratty teenager too, you know, like, so I don't know. I think it was like a refusal. Like not even, like, I just really didn't even believe it. I don't think. I still don't believe it.
What do you mean by that?
I, like, have moments where I actually don't believe that they're gone. You know, and, like, this is the dream.
Maybe you're right.
I think I'm right. I think I am right. But, and that's, you know, part of the comfort that, you know, I think the point of spirit, you know, having spiritual exploration gets you to, is being like, yeah, this is just life. It's not a big deal, you know. But, yeah, I mean, that was just a really, I don't know. I had no concept of what was going on at all. And I was so all over the place. I burnt a lot of bridges, like, on graduation day. Like, I don't know. I think, you know, I had no understanding of how important college is, or even, I don't know. I just kind of went because that's what people do, and especially at a school like Berkeley Carroll, you know, nobody's like, you should take a year off and figure things out, you know. It's, you know, well, go to college counseling because it's in your schedule and pick a place. And I don't think I should have gone straight to college. I mean, obviously, I'm glad I did because everything I did got me to where I am now, but I think, you know, it would have probably been a lot smarter for me to take some time off, you know, have somebody make me get a job or something, and just really, you know, I was so protected, I think, from everything. Like, I had no financial understanding. I had no, you know, I'd been given everything. I had no concept of having to support myself and make a living, like, even contributing to society. Like, I had no conception of any of that. And so I ended up dropping out of college after my second year. Barely went to classes my second year anyway. But, you know, I just wasn't ready for it. I didn't want to learn. Like, I didn't know why I should learn. That came later for me. So, oh, those are my lost years. I mean, I had a blast. I made some friends in the neighborhood through a childhood friend who's still, she's like my sister. And,
And this is where?
This was here.
Okay.
This was here. We were a bunch of townies, you know,
Okay.
and that was like self-medication at its peak, you know, just, that was from, I guess, 20 to 23 for me. And I grew out of, I mean, you know, you come across groups of people in your life that are there at the right time, and, you know, it ebbs and flows, and we all started, you know, it was really amazing for a while, and everything was right between and it was this big group of people, like maybe like, I don't know, 8 or 10 people that were really close, and then it all started falling apart. And then, I don't know.
The lost years got lost.
The lost years got even more lost. And then all my financial neglect and my refusal to deal with any of that real world stuff caught up with me. And I had to sell the apartment, which I, you know, was being told for so long that it had to happen, and I just wouldn't deal with it. And then you know, the universe gave me Dan, and he really woke me up, and he was, you know, that apartment was huge, and it was 20 years of stuff, and like my dad was a collector, my mom was a pack rat, I was some weird combination of both, and it was a rough job, but he like buckled down and like really did it with me, and sold the house. And that's one of those things that I'm still like processing now, that I even did that and that it even happened. I mean, it's a lot for
So that gave you the money
young mind
to
deal
give you.
with.
That gave you the sale of the place. Gave you the money and the time to figure something out.
Well, yeah. I mean, so I went, and then I decided. Then I realized, you know, oh, school, right, and job, money, all that. And so I went, got my first degree, and now I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do for the rest of it.
What was your major?
Just liberal arts, just like core classes. I have trouble with the idea of cutting off possibilities. I have so many varied interests and so many different directions that it's hard for me to commit to something. So I mean, that's where I am now, and kind of waiting for inspiration to strike. And you know, it's great because it gives me time to grieve. Like when I met Dan, like I had stopped taking my medication. One of my good friends had encouraged me to stop taking my medication about 6 months before that. Oh yeah, it was an antidepressant that I had been on since I was 12 years old. And you know, I don't think I had the most effective therapists. I think my therapist was very much about treating symptoms. I don't think I did any healing in therapy at all. So I kind of started to resent the whole practice, which I'm past now. But my friend, she's very into like holistic stuff and body work, so she encouraged me to stop taking my medication, and you know, which I think was good for me because it was so inhibiting at that point, you know, and that's when I really think I started to grieve and begin to work through some of the stuff I had put off for so long, because I had just been putting it off, you know. So I guess that's something I would tell people, would be, you know, as unbelievable as it can be and upsetting it is to accept, like just try to like be upset and try to like cry and like just fathom it. Just try to like wrap your head around it and go through the feelings sooner rather than later, because they're always going to be waiting for you. You know, I mean, I'm still working through them. It would just, I think, be nice to have a bit of a head start on that. That's exactly. I mean, it's the sort of thing that if you're wrong, who cares? I mean, you're not going to know until you're dead anyway. And then, you know, it's just going to make your life more enjoyable to think a certain way than to think, you know, that it's the end. And I mean, it was a choice for me too. It was really like, I love this idea and it gives me a lot of comfort. And if I'm wrong, I don't care, because by the time I get to the point where I realize I'm wrong, it's not going to matter anyway. But it really, yeah. And it's unflappable. My faith is like solid, concrete. I guess, I think, Danny, I was watching his interview and he said something like, just accept it. And I think that's really good advice. Like, try to accept it. Because then you can start working on healing. But if you don't accept it, you're just, prolonging a really unhappy thing, and, it sucks, but that's life and it's not the end.